So one of the key themes that connects people to Stallida from the Ice Age through the Bronze Age to the modern period is that they came here to extract the hill's natural resources, the stone, the water and the clay. What you see here to the right of me outcropping in massive fashion is a raw material referred to as chert. Now this material in the period before metalworking, which in this part of the world only came about 7,000 years ago, it's this kind of raw material that people were making their daily tools from. The knives to cut their meat and plants, the hunting tools to kill the animals, the implements for their woodworking, for their shelter, their basketry, etc. You can make an array of different tools for all of these purposes. So what we know from our excavations is that we have prehistoric peoples coming to use this chert to make their tools from over 200,000 years ago, up until about maybe 9,000 years ago. So that's likely involving Neanderthals and early modern humans. And what you see all around you is a cascade of the waste debris associated with their tool making. It's like a prehistoric factory floor. So in the later Bronze Age, we once again see people using the stone of Stallida, but this time not to make tools, but for architectural purposes, specifically to build their peak sanctuary. So what you see here are blocks of the chert which have been quarried out of the natural surface and put into this line to make a double-sided wall.
Then in the 1980s, people returned once again to Stallida to extract the chert, but this time, as you can see, at an industrial scale, quarrying away the corner of the hill to provide the foundation for the nearby airport. Here we are at the eastern flanks of Stallida at Rock Shelter A. We have one of the two springs on the site. Currently does not have any water in it, but in the winter months it does fill up, and it's evidenced here by these spiny rush, which are freshwater plants. The spring is one of the best examples at Stallida of rhythms of use of the site. We have evidence of Stone Age hunters using this spot as a campsite. The water would have been a key factor in choosing this spot on Stallida. Moving forward to the Bronze Age, 4,000 years ago, we have evidence again that they were using the water. We have cups as well as pebbles, which suggests ritual action here, as well as the larger space at the Peak Sanctuary up at the top of Stallida. We also have evidence of use during the modern period. Shepherds would have been bringing their sheep and goat drinking water here, as well as Alfred de Grazia, when he built his house on the other side of the hill, and brought the water from here for use at his house.
All right, we're now on the western slope of Stallida, and this is the location of our second spring. But we know from our excavations right in front of the spring area here that this is where the Neanderthals were gathering and making some really good quality stone tools here. Here's one of their hammer stones for actually working the raw materials. Unlike much of the other hill slopes, we have something a little bit more fixed, an actual Neanderthal campsite.
So we know that the earliest use of the clay would have been during the late Bronze Age. It would have been taken from here and up to the top of the hill where it was used in the construction of the Peak Sanctuary. So we learned through interviews that the most recent use of the clay pits was during the modern period. We learned that people from the nearby village of Ios Arsenios were bringing their donkeys and baskets here to extract the clay to bring it back to the village to use as construction material in waterproofing their roofs.
Here you see the front, the northern wall of the Peak Sanctuary, and this wall actually extends down, we think about 1.5 meters, about 5 feet, and originally we think the building was freestanding. But this is a very earthquake-dominated zone, and we think there was probably a big earthquake that made everything a little bit wobbly. And so in the second phase, they constructed this great mass of rubble up here to sort of retain the walls. But if you leave the stone on its own with the exposure to the elements, it's all just going to wash away again. So what they did was they brought the clay, this, you can see it's a much yellower soil here because it's very clay-rich, and they packed it in here as a mortar to hold the foundations together.